Good morning, everyone. So, let's just start discussing today a quite simple problem. So let's say that 5 times x plus 1 equals 2x minus 7. So different from the problems that we had before, we've got x on both sides. So what we'll do here, we will expand this and let's rearrange this equation in such a way that we have all x's on one side of the equation and all numbers on the other side. So let's take a look at this. If I expand, I'll get 5x plus 5. This will be equal to 2x take away 7. So I can get this 2x to the other side and 5 to the right. Remember that this is basically the same thing as subtracting 5 on both sides and subtracting 2x on both sides. So when we subtract 5, we get rid of this 5, and when we subtract 2x, we get rid of this 2x. Since we have summed subtracted 5 on both sides and 2x on both sides, I still have the same thing. And if you observe, I'll have here 5x minus 2x on the left hand side, and on the right hand side I would have negative 7, negative 5, so minus 7 minus 5. If we carry on with the left way of doing this that I showed you here, we would get the same thing. 2x would come to the left hand side as a negative, and 5 would then come to the right hand side as a negative as well. So observe that we get the same thing. So it doesn't matter which way you prefer to look at this. If we do 5 minus 2, we get 3, so this is 3x, and 7 and 5, that's going to give us 12, but negative, because both of them are negative. So x, here I would have to divide by 3 on both sides. That's one way of looking at it. Or the 3 will be thrown to the other side, dividing. It doesn't matter how you look at it, because the answer is actually the same. So negative 12 over 4, if you divide 12 by negative 12 over 3, if you divide 12 by 3, that's 4. And since one of them is negative, you will have a negative value. So the answer to this problem would be x equals negative 4. So it's really simple. When you have some equation in which you have x on both sides, unknowns on both sides, expand everything, get all your x's to one side and get all numbers to the other side. So let's take a look at another example now. So let's say that now our equation is 5x plus 2 equal to 3x minus 5. And I'll put another example here. 15 minus 2x is equal to 11 plus x. Right? So this first one here, we have to do exactly the same thing. Get all x's to one side and all numbers to another side. Usually we get all x's to the left and all numbers to the right. But it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't really matter. The answer should be the same nevertheless. So if we get this 3 to the left, it would be negative 3. And since we have 5 here, it would be 5 minus 3. I'll do all steps so you don't get lost. So 5 minus 3, and then I had a negative 5 on my right hand side, and now I'll also have a negative 2. It was positive, but when it goes to the right hand side, it becomes negative. So 5 minus 3, that's going to be 2. And minus 5 minus 2, that's negative 7. So x is minus 7 over 2. There are other ways of expressing this number. For example, how many whole numbers do I have here? Well, think about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many groups of 2 can I make out of this? 1, 2, 3 groups. So this is 2 integers and 1 over 2. Alright? Also, this is also negative 3.5. So all those answers, they mean the same number. Now let's take a look at this second problem here. 15 minus 2x equals 11 plus x. Again, all x's to one side, so I had negative 2x here, and I'll have another x, which will be negative. And on the right hand side, I had an 11, and now I'll subtract 15. So if we work this out, it would be negative 3x. This is negative 2 and negative 1. If we combine them, that's negative 3. 11 minus 15, that's negative 4. All of them are negative, so I can just flip the signs. This is the same thing as multiplying by negative 1 on both sides, and it shouldn't be a problem because you're multiplying by the same thing. So 3x is equal to 4. Therefore, if you divide by 3 on both sides, or if you send this 3 to the other side dividing, that would be 4 over 3. However, there's another way of writing this answer, just like we did in the previous question. How many integers, how many whole packets of 3 can I make out of 4? Well, that's 1, right? 1 whole packet. So x could also be given as 1 and a third, because there's 1 left, and I wanted to make groups of 3, so a third. Just like before, we would also have an answer which is 1.3333333, okay? So there's also this answer, this endless result. We also call this kind of number a recurring number, right? So it's basically an endless number. It keeps repeating the same value forever. So 1.33333, as many decimal places as you wanted to take into account. So usually in this case, we would rather give the answer as a fraction or a mixed number. Now, the problem that I'm about to show you now is not a new one. So we have worked with those before, but we were a bit ahead of time. So we should be able to solve this really straightforwardly. Now, you could pause the video as in any of the problems that I present to you, and you could try to do them. You could try to do it yourself, and you should be able to. Okay, but right now, I'll show you the working out. So let me change the color. All right, so first thing here, let's cross multiply, right? Cross multiplying is the same thing basically as multiplying, for example, here by 3 on top and below, and also by 4 on top and below, right? So we can get rid of the numbers that we have down here. But let's just cross multiply because it's just simpler, right? So 3 times 2x plus 3 equals to 4 times x, take away 2. So next step, expand. 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Now we have to get all x's to one side. In this case, let's get to the left-hand side, and all numbers to the right-hand side. So 6x minus 4x. 4x was positive. When it goes to the left-hand side, it becomes negative. That's going to be 2x, which is equal to, I had a 9, which was positive, and it will become negative. So negative 8 minus 9. So this is negative 17. Therefore, x will be negative 17 over 2. And you might tell me, oh, that's an ugly number. Yeah, it is, but it's right. That's the actual answer. And again, we can work out that this number would be negative 8.5. Now this 8 here, you could just take a look at this. 17 divided by 2. How many packets of 2 can you fit in there? 8, right? Because 16 divided by 2 is 8. And then you have a half, which is left there, right? Obviously all negative. So this can also be written as 8 and 1, negative 8 integers and a half. And the last example that I'm going to show you in this video is this one. So another fraction, x over 3 minus 1 minus 2x over 6. This is equal to negative 4. So again here, let's try and get rid of those fractions. So to get rid of the fractions, I will have to multiply by a same number on top and below. If I don't multiply by the same number on top and below, I will be changing my fraction. So for example here, x over 3, if I want to get rid of this fraction, I would have to multiply everything by 3. This second fraction that I have here, if I want to get rid of it, I would have to multiply everything by 6, right? Well, let's take a look at it. Now, if I want to get those two on the same denominator, I could just multiply this by 2. That would be much simpler, wouldn't it? What would we get? Well, x multiplied by 2 is 2x, and 2 times 3 is 6. And now we have everything on the same, and let me put some brackets here because that should be there, right? So we have those numbers to be equal to negative 4. Now, since those denominators are the same, we can just combine the numbers which are on top. So 2x. Notice that this negative is actually regards all of that. 1 minus 2x. So when we expand this, well, negative 1, which is multiplying everything here, we will have to change all the signs inside of the bracket. So this will be negative 1 plus 2x. Right? Because this negative will make this 1 negative and this negative 2x positive. And this is still negative 4. Now I can get the 6 to the other side multiplying, right? So I would have 2x minus 1 plus 2x is equal to negative 4 times 6, that's negative 24. 2x and 2x, 4x. This negative 1, let's throw it to the other side, and that's negative 23. Looks ugly, but that's it. So divide by 4, that's negative 23 over 4. And that's okay. Now, if we were to find a number which is a mixed number, so we would divide this by 4. We would have 5. So this is also negative 5 and 3/4, or negative 5.75. And that's it. All those answers would be accepted.